And I think it's working. Oh, yeah.
Don't hear anything. Oh, there we go.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks. We'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in the fun, engaging way.
Well, hello. Welcome to another unbelievably exciting episode of the Zoom Test Kitchen. What was that look, Mike?
I could tell when you switched audio settings. So that's good. That was a good cover. That was a great cover. I liked it this week.
Thank you.
Boy.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you here or not here. It's good to know that you're watching, that you're listening, that you're learning along with us. We are the Zoom Test Kitchen. And as the song says, I don't know what the song says. We're here to innovate, I think it says. Yeah. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Hey, Mike, how are you, sir?
Doing good. How's everybody doing this week? Been busy.
You know what? Pretty good. Busy? Like work busy, I hope?
Yeah, work busy. Work busy is a good busy, but
work busy is a fantastic busy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and production busy, and Zoom busy, and keeping up with all the. And we're gonna love to see what David's got sweet and what he's got sour. We got to figure this out yet.
Well, yeah. So the question is, what's sweet and what's sour in Zoom these days? Whoops. And I have a question, something that happened this just yesterday that I don't understand. So, but we'll get to that after we say hello to Mr. Peter Sargent. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm the only truly retired person here. So
I'm retired wannabe. Does that count?
Well, what you guys talk about, it's good to be at work. It's good to take a nap.
Oh, it is good to take a nap. It is good to be at work, though. I actually love work. I'm dreading retirement a little bit, actually, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I love working. I love being busy. So,
well, what I discovered, as you know, I do a lot of volunteer work with the Scouts, right? And what I discovered is what we learned in high school chemistry applies to volunteer work after retirement. In high school chemistry, we learned that gas expands to fill the available volume, and volunteer work expands to fill the available volume when you're retired.
Okay. Now, see, my mind went right to flatulence, which is so wrong. That's awful. And you were trying to make a beautiful little I'm sorry, I ruined that. Thank you, Peter. Good to see you. Hey, look who has a different background. Frank Henny, how are you, sir?
You're on mute.
I'd be great if I could find my mute button. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where are you today?
In my office.
Very nice. Good to have you from this different location.
Thanks.
There are other people there. Shh, don't let them know we're here. John Drinkwater. Hello, sir.
Hi. I wish in my science and chemistry lessons they taught us some basic gardening techniques, because within 2 years we returfed my friend's entire garden because we used to have fun with exploding things. And we wrecked his entire garden. We changed it turf by turf.
Yeah.
Wow. Very nice. Exploding things. I like it. And
his dad was head of a pharmacy, so we got all
so you had easy access. Fantastic. Yeah. And Hasbuk is here with his meters. And before I jump over to Hasbuk, I just want to say, if you haven't seen Chris Sabato's meters, if you just go to chrissabato.github.io /audio meter, these are fantastic. It's for dumb people like me. It just gives you a number. It gives you a color of the little thingy, and then it's beautiful.
So it's only for the luffs.
Are really fan. Say again?
It's only for the luffs.
Well, that's all I really care about. I guess. I don't know. Oh, oh my God. Go blow something up, would you? Hasbuk, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. The weather is quite windy, a little bit more than your mentioned flatulence. So
I'm sorry I even brought that up. I have a Zoom question. Okay, let me set the scene. I have a business account with a number of different user accounts within that. Last night, there was a meeting that I was going to attend from one of my user accounts, not my primary account. It was another account. And I happened to be logged into that account on my phone because I sometimes start meetings from that account. So I started the meeting. Okay, so I'm in the meeting on my phone, logged in as that account. The other person who was joining the meeting, because I was just joining, there was a physical meeting, I was joining remotely. The other person that was going to start host the Zoom meeting from that physical spot was trying to join. And every time she tried to join, I got this. You can see it right over here. Oh, that didn't work at all. Sorry. Give me a second here. Let me get rid of that.
You're talking about the transfer?
Yeah.
That says she tried to start. Was she the actual person who scheduled the meeting?
So no. So wait, let me clear this and let me do this. It was not a scheduled meeting. It was I just started it. I just opened because they, like me, they're terrible people, and we all just use our PMI for these meetings. So it was a PMI meeting. I just started it, and then when she was also logged in as this same account. And when she joined the meeting, when she tried to join the meeting, I would see this. If I clicked transfer, I would get kicked out of the meeting.
Yep, because you told Zoom to transfer. You were both logged in as the same person essentially, and it said, "Oh, you're now logged on to a real machine, a real PC or Mac. You don't want to be on your phone anymore, do you?" And as soon as you did that,
for example, I can log in to, in fact, I did it for the show, which probably confused Mike because I logged in on this Mac. We were talking about Fairlight. So I logged in to the Mac Studio next to me so I could have Fairlight running on it in case we wanted to show some examples. But because I was wanting to get some graphics into the meeting, I actually started the meeting from my office downstairs, again on the same account. So when I joined on the account downstairs, I joined on the account. Then I transfer control to myself up here. I joined the account up here, so there was two of us. And then I joined the account there, so there were three of us. But if I'd used the transfer option, instead of joining 3 times, I would have joined once, and then the downstairs one would have left the meeting, and I would have taken over up here. In a similar way to if two people come into a meeting and it transfers host control over, you go to demotions.
yeah.
So
Right.
the way you transfer and join a meeting with the same login, you've got 3 different versions of what can happen. You can kick out the other person if you transfer the call to that other device. You can take over their hostmanship, shall we say, and the other machine still stays you, but becomes a non-member, doesn't even become a co-host. It just goes from host to just being a non-member. Or you can then join a meeting from another device and just ignore the other devices and just join as a third person.
Right.
Except that in some accounts you can turn that off so that you can't do that. In corporate accounts, they can choose the number of people that are allowed to join a meeting.
Right. So I was expecting that she would join, and then she would get a pop-up that says, "Hey, do you want to, grab host or whatever?" Because I think
it's the phone.
But she wasn't able to join. That's the problem. She wasn't able to join. And then if I did transfer to her, she was able to join, but I wasn't able to join. So eventually what I did is I logged out as that same account. I logged in as my personal account, and then I joined, and it was fine. But it wasn't what I expected. I expected both of us to be able to join, even though we were logged into the same account. And then for Zoom to just ask which of you would like to be host. And that didn't happen. So that's what surprised me.
I think, John, you'd agree. It was probably the nature of the fact one of them was a phone, and Zoom was trying to be overly helpful.
So this was that sort of continuity experience where you can transfer a call. Yes, I'll put the link for the meters. So you can transfer a call easily from your phone to your computer or something. Right. And you think it was trying to be overly helpful.
Yep.
That makes.
Because the other thing you can have is you can have 2 machines logged in. One joins the meeting. If you go to the other one, you see the button to press to join, to take over the meeting. I would have expected, the fact this is a phone has changed things slightly, but what I would have expected was that one of you would join the meeting and the other person would then get the invite because they're logged into the same device to take over the meeting.
Exactly. That's what I was
Or
expecting.
stay co-host. I think it's what
That's exactly what I was expecting. But for some,
Yeah.
and I guess it's the phone. I think you're probably right. Maybe it's the phone. That's why I was so confused by this. And I had never seen the transfer button. That to me was brand new. I always thought it was just, then it's a sort of whoever grabs host, you can transfer host back and forth. But I had never, that was new to me. So I don't know. That was my confusing thing of the night.
Interesting. I'm going to go and do an experiment.
Now I'm actually wondering. I want to find something out. I wonder if she was on an iPad or not. And I wonder if that would make a difference. Let me just ask her. Hey, real quick question. Last night when we were having trouble in the Zoom meeting, were you on your iPad or was that a computer? Thank you. Bye. No, I can't. I'm going to call. I got to go. Okay, later. It was a computer, not an iPad. Sorry. Okay. So maybe it was the phone computer thing. All right. Well, that was my big question for the day because I was utterly confused by that. Hey, Muddy, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Oh, God, put your hands on the wheel. Oh, dear Lord.
I'm driving. The Tesla's driving. My wife's on a call, so I'll tune in a few minutes.
The Tesla's driving. My wife's on a call. I'm on a call. God, the world we live in is crazy. Let me actually, you know what?
You're still showing your screen, Mr. Paskin.
Oh, I am. Sorry about that. So since this is the test kitchen, I'm going to actually, on my phone, let me see if I can share this with you all. I'm going to log into the same account that I'm currently in, and we'll see what happens. Hold on a second. My Apple TV takes forever to connect to my phone. There we go. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to go over to Zoom. I'm going to log out of this account. And I'll log back. No, wrong one. Sorry. Let's do Zoom Test Kitchen. That's what I want. Okay. So I'm now logged into the same. Now look at that.
You get the transfer message. And you don't want to do that.
Be careful, though.
Right. Now, what's interesting here, though, transfer from TTG M4 Mini. Sorry, that actually makes sense. Okay, so that's the computer that's hosting this meeting right now. Now, if I clicked, I'm not going to, but if I were to click transfer, that would join from my phone and make the phone host.
And take the Mac Mini
out of the meeting. That's the piece I don't understand. I guess I understand it. No, I understand. Right. Because if you're just handing off, if you don't intentionally want to join from two devices, that makes sense. Right.
I think it's great. Imagine you're in your home office, you're in a Zoom call, all of a sudden you figure out that you need to be in your home at your professional office, which is 3 blocks away. Transfer the Zoom meeting to your phone, jump in your car, get out of your car, go to your office computer, transfer it to your office computer. Like, it's super handy.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was just I wasn't thinking about that in my use case. That's all. You're absolutely right. So is there a way for me to join this meeting? So maybe if I'm going to click the X on that. So go away. So now if I click on Meet, what's going to happen? Am I going to just join this meeting?
I don't know how it works with a PMI.
Should we try? Should I press the button? No.
Nice knowing
Muddy's saying no. Don't press the button.
Nice knowing
what should happen, if you ask me, what should happen is this should just join. This device should just join the meeting. That to me is what should happen.
I'd agree.
I have explicitly said don't transfer, and now I just want to join this meeting.
I know that works on I'll say a non-PMI meeting, right? Where you've actually scheduled and it has its own unique meeting number.
So I'm on my Mac upstairs. My Windows machine downstairs gives me the option to switch, but I ignored that and put the option to join, and I'm now in twice. So I had both versions available to me to switch to the other computer or to join as a second person.
Did your second instance join as a co-host, or are you not even a co-host now? So
I wasn't even co-host.
Yeah.
So say that one more time for me, John. You were in one meeting from one account.
I was in this meeting on one account on my Mac. When I went downstairs to my Windows machine, which is on the same account, it had that option at the top, switch. I think I put it into chat. But I ignored that, went to my calendar, and I managed to hit the join button to join this meeting. So it's joined, and I've now got two individual accounts on this meeting.
I wonder why. I wonder if switch versus transfer is a host thing or if it's a desktop versus mobile thing. Muddy says it's a desktop versus mobile thing.
Yeah.
So if you were to click switch, what would that? Oh, switch. Wait a second. Sorry. Switch. But why? Why would it say? Why would it say?
I was going from a Mac. I was going from a Mac desktop to a Windows desktop. So it gives me the option to switch my connection from one machine to the other. So I disconnect on this machine and I rejoin on the other machine.
Right, but isn't that that's what transfer is doing? I maybe I'm being silly here, but isn't it the same thing?
Two different people designed the UI.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. Isn't it the same thing? I think it's the same thing. Just mobile and desktop are different, maybe.
I know when I join, because I do this all the time, join a meeting as a host, and then go to another machine and sign on with the same credentials. It gives me the option of being, reclaiming host or claiming host or staying a co-host. But then I have to be careful. I have to change my name on one of those machines to keep my sanity.
So the link that Frank just sent in the chat, this is about being signed in on multiple devices, but it's not clear to me that this is about joining meetings from the same, because it says you can be signed into Zoom on 2 desktop computers, 2 tablets, and 2 mobile devices at a time. If you sign into more than 2 devices at the same time, you'll be automatically logged out of the first device. Okay. And you can increase that if you need to on eligible accounts. All right, so I'm having 2 issues then. And maybe these are non-important issues, but my first issue is the language is not consistent. Switch versus transfer. I misread transfer last night, so that's on me. But switch versus transfer, let's be consistent. And the second thing is the fact that I'm afraid to press this start a meeting button on the same account because we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know that there should be some helper text there that says, if you press this, you will join a meeting in progress or something like that. Mike?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that there is another question in YouTube, but no, continue, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we'll get to that also. I see it. All right. Well, thank you for explaining to me that this is not a flaw, but a feature that transfer really does make sense. I agree with you 100%, Frank. It's just in my weird use case last night, that's not what I was looking for. And so it threw me for a loop. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, go ahead. Let's do the question on YouTube. Go for it.
All right. So we have Welcome Home Literally 7489. Interesting. Has anyone found any documentation on how to pair CAVC with Zoom Rooms using an activation code, which was added in the latest ZR, I'm assuming that's Zoom Rooms release? The 16-digit activation code doesn't seem to work for him.
By the way, the last 4 digits of the name are just YouTube just tacks those on. So this is Welcome Home Literally. Right.
All right, over to the panelists. Have we been playing with this new CAVC?
What is
within Zoom
CAVC?
rooms?
Can we define that first? I don't know what that is. Is someone smarter than me know what CAVC is?
Custom AV controller for Zoom rooms.
Well, I've got the Veterans Consortium Pro Bono program.
He just gave you the answer.
Yeah, I know. I know. Wait, say it again. Consortium, what? What is it?
Custom AV controller for Zoom rooms.
Yeah.
Custom
Or-
AV controller. Okay.
Yeah, Welcome Home literally said custom AV Zoom controller. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't use Zoom rooms. Pair a custom AV controller with Zoom rooms using an activation code. AV
You gonna show that, David, or no?
controller. Well, I don't know what I'm looking for yet.
Okay.
Using the Zoom Room custom AV controller app. So let's see. There's a separate Zoom Room controller intended to be used by AV integrators, installers, yada, yada, yada. So there is a help page for this, which I'm sure you've looked up. Yep, there's the link that Frank just put in. Thank you. With all the different requirements, there are some limitations. HDMI content is disabled. Dante needs to be turned on. Yeah, without more information about perhaps what CAVC you're using, if you want to pop that in the chat, no promises because I don't use Zoom rooms, but if you put that in, maybe we can do some collective searching and thinking here.
Yeah. We have
can find
updates, David. So basically he's saying the activation code pairing method, the customer AV room Zoom rooms controller supports pairing to a Zoom room using an activation code as an alternative to the count sound in. Yeah, so that's basically that. When paired using activation code, the CAVZRC, all acronyms there, can only connect to a single Zoom room at a time. Custom AV controller.
So I have the simple version of this. I have the AV running on this Mini, Mac Mini. And so when I boot up this Mac Mini, when it starts, it always goes into Zoom Rooms and it leaves a screen on the screen, I can't remember what it is, it's a 6-digit code. And if I put that 6-digit code into my iPad then becomes the controller for that Zoom meeting. So I think he's talking about the customs AV controller, which is the customized version of that. But I've never installed that on that. I've only just used the basic Zoom Rooms. Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Oh, hi. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that certain ports have to be open on your firewall, and sometimes antivirus software and other things can block it from pairing correctly.
That makes a lot of sense.
That does.
Yeah, I had to have mine on the same local network to get it to work, so that would make sense.
Yep. So welcome home, literally, perhaps check your firewall, see what ports you've got open and available for the for that connection to actually go through.
Yeah, right now it's coming down to welcome home literally that you need to make sure that the communications are happening between that. Okay, saying, okay, good, call on firewall. I'm in a restricted environment. There you go. So yeah, so
the custom AV room controller and the computer have to be on the same network too. So if you have multiple networks, they have to be on the same network. The firewall has to allow it, and other things like antivirus can mess it up too.
Yeah. All right. We're going to Muddy live from the Tesla. Oh,
no, we're not.
No, we're not. He hit the wrong button.
That's you can't Zoom. You can't put the leave button too close to the unmute button.
Maybe as Tesla said, please deposit $5 more to continue. Isn't everything going subscription?
Now I'm wondering actually where is
If you could send me $10, I can answer that question.
Please insert your credit card for more air conditioning.
So the end
I
button
think
is
Tesla
not
Stream Deck integration is happening in a couple of months' time, so he'll be all right from then.
Tesla Stream Deck? What? I need that. I need that so badly. I'm not that I have a Tesla. I have nothing to control, but
I've got it. I've just hit the Find My Tesla button and I'm still waiting.
I think it's awesome that there's a Zoom app for Tesla that runs on your car. So weird.
So we promise when Muddy comes back that he'll let us know what he was going to tell us. I swear.
Something exciting will be happening as soon as Muddy comes back. All right. I heard this morning, by the way, that have you heard about this new Khan TED Institute that is coming out? If you haven't, you got to watch the rundown from last night. We talked about it. But so Khan Academy, TED, the TED Talks, and
TED Talks. I thought it would be Ted Nugent. Come on, what are you talking about?
It's not Ted Nugent. And another company, and forgive me, I'm forgetting the name of it, are getting together and they're starting an institute. It's not a university, but a degree program where you can an online degree program for under $10,000. You can get your bachelor's degree, and they are using Zoom as their platform for all of their teaching. Sal Khan, who's one of the leads of this, was talking about it this morning, and I heard that. And I was excited to see that Zoom is going to be the back end of that. Let me see if I can find Khan TED. I don't know if that's actually like if they're listed as a partner or not. Here's the ETS is the other one, which I don't know about. Yeah, it's interesting. They're not listed here as a thought partner, but they're definitely using Zoom.
So, like, the word degree has connotations to me that there would be some educational organization that's accredited to give credentials. Do they have that?
They are getting accredited. They're in the process of getting accredited.
Who's going to be their partner, I guess?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I want to get a degree from Ted Nugent University. I'm going to master in electric shirts.
Electric shorts. Apparently, their first undergrad degree is going to be in AI, which I think is interesting.
So, is the content being taught by a human, or is it AI generated content? So, are you learning from an AI algorithm?
I don't know. I signed up for it, but I haven't heard anything yet. I don't think that's the idea. From what I've read and heard about it, the idea is not that it's all AI taught; it's human taught. I think, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
An update from Welcome Home. Literally, he made a comment. He says, "Although it's weird," and this is getting back to the custom AV controller. He says, "Although it's weird, what is weird is that I can use custom AV controller with a login, just not with the activation code."
Oh.
So definitely with the login, he's definitely being able to contact what needs to log in. So,
but doesn't an activation code is a different? I mean, that's a whole different protocol. So it seems to me that would be different. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. That would be different, and a firewall could block that while not blocking OAuth login. Am I wrong about that?
No, not entirely, David. Again, it depends on. You're right. It depends on what what the system is listening to for that port. You're right.
Yeah. All right.
You're at the nexus of networking, security, and Zoom all at the same time. So all those have to get harmonized somehow, right?
Right.
Yeah, and of course, let us know next week. Welcome home, literally, if
Yeah,
you actually got
definitely.
this figured out or not, because we want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. There was an update to Zoom 2 days ago, just to Android. Only Android and Android Intune got a mobile release, which was a minor bug fix. So congratulations if you are on Android. The rest of us haven't seen anything for quite a while, since the last big release, which we had a lot of stuff. So what are people working on? What do we have this week? Anything exciting?
David, did you tell everybody what was sweet and what was sour yet?
No, we can decide together. We can decide. I'll tell you what's sour. I don't have a button to switch my audio profile. That's what's sour. Wait, I'll tell you what's sweet. I was invited. Now I have to find it. I was invited. I think I mentioned this before, but I just got another email about it, which was exciting. Zoom, where is it? Zoom something.
MVP. Yeah.
No,
program.
not MVP. Is it MVP?
Oh,
It's not MVP. Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, so I was invited. I applied to this MVP program, and I just got an email saying thank you for applying to the Zoom MVP program. We're thrilled by your interest and enthusiasm to be part of this new initiative. Your application has been received and will soon be reviewed by our team. Okay. No further action is needed from you. We'll reach out in the coming weeks with updates on next steps. In the meantime, do this and do this and do this and do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got that also?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I was so excited when I saw something in my inbox from Zoom, though. That was exciting. Okay. What else? It's a quiet group this week. We got no updates. We got no questions. We got nothing to talk about.
Play the music. Bye. See you next week.
Hey, Asmak, will you could remind me, please, your meters, they are running on a dedicated machine somewhere else, and you just bring them into whatever meeting you're
Yep.
going into? And
Yes,
you bring them
it's,
in remotely, right?
Fortunately, this week they are at home because our offices are being redeveloped. So the machine is actually sitting in my study at the moment.
And you're using WLM meters connected
Mhm.
through what? Through
It's
audio hijack?
audio hijack, and
Okay.
there's a loop back also, uh, which Mickey set up for me 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been running since then, and it's running on, wow, a really early version of Mac OS. Not that, what's it? Not Tahoe, but there was the place outside Nevada. Um it'll come to me. One of the uh, before Sonoma, before Sequoia,
Sonoma, Ventura, Monterey, Big Sur,
Monterey.
Monterey. That's OS 12.
Yes. So it's still running on that, and I dare not update that in case something breaks.
Really?
Well, I've been told not to update it.
It's now a meters appliance.
Right.
Yes, it's absolutely an appliance.
What computer are you running it on?
It's an iMac 2020.
Oh wow. Okay. And so you remote into it and you join the meeting manually, or is there some automation to it?
Well, normally for Zoom Test Kitchen, it usually sits in my office. So I got a VPN into it and I launch it. And for some reason, if the meter's window is not active, sometimes the meter just freezes. But I haven't had that problem for quite a while. When it's for office hours, we are in the office, so my team just brings it in.
Is there a way
Mhm.
is there a way to automate somehow? I've thought of
Yes,
this months ago.
yes.
When I join a meeting from this
Mhm.
computer, I automatically want that to join the meeting also.
Well, Simon Ray wrote me a little bot that would launch the meeting at a specific time of the day. And the team, back-end team in office hours didn't like that either. They said we need a real person. Yeah, so I hired real people to manage the meters.
So you're not going to like the answer, David, but I do that all what you described all the time, but I do it through Companion. You're on mute, David.
I'm sorry. Can you tell me how you do that through Companion?
So it's kind of a combination of what Hasmuth was saying. You can set triggers in Companion, say, at a certain time of day or when a certain button is pushed, start, and you have to use either Zoom OSC or Zoom ISO. Start the meeting in two places.
But then the meeting has to start. You mean start the meeting with the meters on another
Well, they're
computer?
running on another machine.
Yeah.
They're running on another machine. They're minding their own business because they're not hooked in. That machine's not hooked into a meeting until I tell that machine to join.
And how do you screen scrape that meter?
I don't have to screen scrape it. I bring that video output into my ATEM.
Right. Okay.
I have one of those little tiny Blackmagic boxes that takes HDMI and converts it to SDI, plugs it into my ATEM.
Okay. No, I obviously have to screen scrape because it's running on my log. But is that meters for your benefit or all the participants?
All the participants. And you're going to ask me the next question is,
Uh-huh.
but I don't need to screen scrape it. I can share the meters.
Yes, of course you can.
And that true also is a Zoom ISO, Zoom OSC command is
Sure,
share.
sure, sure, sure.
And oh, by the way, at the same time, when I'm running the intro to my stuff, I can automatically turn off and on original sound. Just to make the point.
In using OSC in Companion,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is not what I use because I joined through Ecamm for Zoom. So yeah, I know it's possible on a tool that I can't use. Thank you.
Well, you need to find the guy who owns the Ecamm Live companion module and get him to catch
No,
up
we
to
don't
you.
have what we don't really have one.
You have an old one that I made the mistake of trying to use, and
Yeah, no,
that thing
it's
is abysmal.
it's terrible. It's deprecated. Hey, is Frank still here? Frank is here. Frank, you posted in the Discord. There was an update about Claude, I thought, but I can't find it now.
It's in the new features sub Discord.
New
Zoom new features.
Sure.
I didn't know where else to put it. Didn't.
Yeah,
seem
yeah,
like
yeah.
Any good
Zoom
spot.
unlocks the meeting to AI workflows with Claude. Now, was this the same thing that happened? Yeah, this is the same thing that happened back April 9th. Okay. So, because we played around with this, if I remember correctly, I tried to get Claude to start a meeting for me, things like that, and it did it and took 20 minutes to do it. But this is really about allowing Claude, being able to access your Zoom data your meeting transcripts and notes and things like that in Claude, as I understand. Is that fair?
That's what I read.
Yeah.
I haven't used it.
And
Says-
David, that's actually a good segue to Tony's question from YouTube, actually.
Which is
you're
why
ready.
I was looking this up. Absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah. So Tony's asking, does the panel think that Zoom will use cloud code for part of its infrastructure?
So it says here, this is on a Zoom press release. He's saying no. Zoom connector for Claude enables users to access, users devoted to access Zoom meeting intelligence, use it directly within Claude Cowork and Claude Code. Meeting search and retrieval, meeting assets, AI-powered follow-ups, workflow integration, developer plugins.
So this is
Go ahead.
not manipulating Zoom. It's manipulating the output
Correct.
from a Zoom session.
Correct. Right. Right. Search across meetings to find keys. And again, my question, this is what I asked, I think last time, is I don't understand this because Zoom has its own Zoom AI companion. I mean, I completely understand creating hooks into other programs. But if your goal is to get people to live in Zoom, in the Zoomiverse, and you have chat in Zoom and docs in Zoom and notes in Zoom and AI in Zoom and everything in Zoom, then I don't know. I'm just, this feels a little bit like Apple admitting we can't get AI right, so we're going to use Gemini or we're going to use OpenAI. I don't know. I could be completely misreading it. So someone tell me if you think I'm wrong. This also, Zoom has introduced a plugin for Claude Code that enables developer to bring meeting intelligence directly into their development workflows. Plugin is built on the Zoom Connector and Zoom Skills framework. So, again, it's as you said, Peter. It's just the meeting data. It's not.
So I guess
automate meeting scheduling that you can do.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if things that you and I'm just supposition. I've been retired too long to think about this, but could it be that you're going to use Claude Code to generate reports that the Zoom AI can't generate? I mean, like work directly with PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever, or web pages that have to then go up at a later point with, key insights garnered from the last week's meetings, as an example.
Party?
No, key insights gathered from
Frank put in the chat party. I'm wondering what we're partying about.
It was a bad paste. It's supposed to say Zoom supports external AI integrations and has expanded its platform to allow third-party AI agents and data sources to work alongside its native Zoom AI companion. And instead, all I posted was party.
John, go.
It's no as interesting as the last comment. I don't know if I want to say it now. But there is a whole load of procedural workflows that are appearing in the corporate world of Zoom. Right. And Claude Code could help with designing and producing that.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of what that's kind of what I'm getting at, John. Yeah.
So does that mean, is that an indication that Zoom does not see its own AI as either capable of doing it, or that's not where they want to put their energy? And that's fine with me, by the way. I'll sleep fine if that's the case. I'm just surprised by it because their last two keynotes have been AI, and now it's, and there's Claude.
But the other question is Zoom the only source of information that these corporate dashboards, workflows need to work with?
Right, but if Zoom is creating a connector, an MCP connector to Claude, then it can create a connector to PowerPoint, or can create a connector to...
I'm not talking about PowerPoint. I'm not talking about PowerPoint. I'm talking about other sources of data.
Right.
Right. I have a colleague who works for a power company, and they generate reports all the time about how the power substations and generators are doing, maybe to correlate that what the conversations are in the Zoom meetings about the various PowerPoint. So they may have something going on, correlating two sources of data. To me, the Zoom stuff is a source of data, not necessarily source of information, but not necessarily the final source of information that executives have to decide upon.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. I guess it just feels a little strange to me, given the whole revamp, the whole rework, the workplace, the docs, the AI summaries. I completely hear what you're saying. It just, I don't know, just strikes me as a little, I don't know.
Well, just a comment here. I think a few months ago we talked about post-meeting getting the data out of Zoom. And I think John talked about using Zapier, is it, to interrogate and get the information out of Zoom in a format that makes a lot of sense. So we pulled a lot of the information out of Zoom, and then we've been using spreadsheets to repackage it. And now we take that same data and put it into Claude and say, repackage this in an understandable format. My analogy of Claude and Zoom is we use something, Monday.com.
Yep.
And Monday itself has its own AI tools within Monday. But it cannot deliver the kind of reports I need. Fortunately, there's a connector between Claude and Monday.com. And what Claude does, it interrogates the log files within Monday.com. Since it can go into the back end, I can get all sorts of reports out of it, which Monday.com and its AI does not do itself. So I'm just trying to draw parallels in terms of if that's the Zoom experience.
Gotcha. Makes sense. The three deployment options that you, Frank, that you posted in here, that's for deploying. If you want to, I'm not sure I understand. Is that for the Zoom Claude connection? Is that for deploy? What is that for deploying?
I think it's Zoom's approach to custom AI companion and bring your own data. So third-party integrations.
Okay.
I don't have access to custom AI companion. It's an add-on or extra cost to have that.
Hmm.
Do you have, you probably have it. You have everything, right?
No, I don't have that.
Okay. Well, plus you like AI, so I thought maybe you might have it.
I do love AI, but I don't have that.
Splurge. Get it.
Yeah.
I told my wife I actually don't have friends. And I've been spending a lot of time with Claude in the last week. And she says, okay, you got a new friend, Uncle Claude. So you get kind of hooked into it.
Should be lots of papers from the APA on that.
So
What
I guess
else?
just to tie this up in a bow for Tony's sake, do you think, I don't know if Tony, you're actually getting to the point of thinking that the actual Zoom engineers, are they using Claude for the infrastructure? My opinion with that, and I think John read it that way too, is the official answer is no.
It sounds like Zoom has their own LLM that's proprietary to them, and then they use and integrate with other LLMs. And probably their engineers use a variety of tools internally, but they have their own, and they also allow other people to integrate connectors to other LLMs or tools, right?
Yeah, that's totally fair.
But I don't know, like some of that's probably secret sauce, internal stuff that they wouldn't admit publicly.
Yeah, totally.
I'm looking right now to see if there's any documentation about that, but I don't see any. Service models. No, that's what we were just reading about.
I definitely know that Zoom AI Companion actually does quite a bit. So for them to actually be within the actual workplace app, being able to spit out Claude code equivalent, I think we're asking a little too much there.
So I'm not an expert on this topic, but there's sort of a trust factor. Zoom has its LLM that they promise will retain your data securely and not spill it all over the internet, and won't train its, also promises not to use your data to train itself. They make those kind of assertions. And then if you willingly connect your Zoom account to a third party, then I guess that's on you, right? Because Zoom's promised it won't do certain things with its LLM. And then if you go out of your way to connect to something they don't control, then I guess you're saying I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's fair, and that's where Zoom will do hands off.
So according to AI, they use a federated approach. They have their own proprietary LLM. They use smaller internal models, SLMs, for fast low latency tasks. And they use third-party LLMs, including OpenAI, GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. That is probably out of date at this point. Anthropic and Meta, Llama models. And then as of 2025, it says here the NVIDIA Nemotron models, along with open source and partner models. This is back from December 15th, 2025, when they launched AI Companion 3.0. And as always, they do not train models on your meeting data.
Which I'm sure they can only satisfy their promise by using their own LLM. The minute you connect a different LLM, that promise is gone because you've ruined it of your own volition, right?
Right. The way this is described, at least by Zoom, is that they're building an orchestration layer across LLMs embedded in workflow. Their goal is not to be the best LLM. Their goal is to give us what we need using whatever tools they need to use to give us what we need, I think.
Yeah, and that's totally fair, David. Go ahead, Frank.
Like an AI insurance broker.
Well,
we don't sell you the insurance directly. We'll take a cut and hook you up with an insurance you like.
Yeah. So what I'm reading to what David just basically read there was that basically they're taking the best of all the different AI worlds.
Yeah.
And bringing that, molding that together and making us the best Zoom AI companion out there for Zoom related.
Some people would
things.
say, or the worst, depending on your view of AI, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But I did actually do something funky with Zoom AI Companion this week, which was that I actually had it looking through my Zoom chats to see if somebody mentioned something that I was looking for, and it came back with a quick answer. And it was like, "Did you really look in my Zoom chat?" And it came back and said, "Yes, I did," because I found this person talked about it here and there, but they haven't said it within the last week. I went, "Okay, yes, you did." So it's definitely, that was the first time I've ever used it in Zoom chat. AI Companion. Zoom AI Companion.
You can also hook up Zoom Companion to different data sources. Like there's options in the admin panel to connect your Microsoft SharePoint or your Google or your like, you can feed Zoom's AI other data sources that you own if you are willing to risk that or do that.
David has that intrigued face on him when he heard Frank say that.
So let's say you have like a Office 365 Teams site or something, right, with all your documentation or SharePoint or something. So if you want to give Zoom AI Companion access to all of that, then Zoom can fetch answers and look through data. And there's even something about a Zoom, I can't remember what it's called, but it's Zoom memory or something. It remembers specific data about you to help you more effectively, I guess.
Is that like all the way the other LLMs do? The memory features?
Yeah, it's like a memory feature in Zoom's AI Companion. If you enable it, then I guess it remembers more about you. Did you mean to go black screen, gray screen, whatever you're doing?
As I come back, as Mr. Paskin is currently having eCam issues, he'll be right back. But Hasbuk, let's was that you asking Claude that question? Hasbuk, tell me.
You couldn't hear me. I was
Nope.
talking to you, even though I thought it was just my video that went out. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked Claude that question.
Yeah. So Claude actually answered Hasbuk. He said, "Do you have a Zoom connector question to? Do you have a Zoom connector question to Claude?" Yes. This is Claude's answer. There's a Zoom for Claude connector available. It lets you search, recap, and act on your Zoom meetings with tools. Very cute that Claude said meetings and not webinars. So Zoom meetings with tools to search meetings, list recordings, and get meeting assets.
So
Nothing
I
about
asked
webinar
it,
in that answer. Interesting.
so I asked it, which meeting assets can you get? And so it says, well, once you connect your Claude to Zoom, then I can delve into which assets you can get.
So is it saying connect me and then I'll tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't do that, Hal. Or I can't do that, Dave. Why don't you connect me and we'll find out?
It doesn't exactly say I can tell you. It says I'll be able to tell you more details once you connect me. Okay, it's the same thing. It's being just very subtle.
Have any of you tried the live avatars since we did this before? Wait a second.
I think I turned it on a sub account and played around with it one time for 3 minutes.
That's not the avatar I wanted. Where's my real avatar?
How do I know you're not an avatar?
I am I am very much an avatar.
And
where's my real avatar? He's gone.
And if you're using the NVIDIA stuff that John does, I don't know if John's actually looking at the camera or not. Because his eyeballs are always looking at the camera.
Yeah, but I don't know where my avatar is. I created an avatar.
Right account. This is the right account.
Oh, you know what? I think I didn't do it on this account. That was the problem.
Please insert $5 to continue your avatar.
Exactly. No, you know what? I remember because we wanted to do it during this meeting. And because I was in the meeting, I couldn't do it. So I came over here. Ooh, look at this. Wait a second. Check this out.
I've got your spotlight already. Go for it.
Yeah. So, where'd it go? No, not that. Not this. Look at this. So I just opened Zoom over here. So this is brand new. They just announced this. Didn't they? Maybe they didn't. Create docs from your meetings.
But they also have notes, docs, notes, all these synonyms.
All classic docs. All data tables. What are classic docs? Oh, well, that's not good.
Oh, I saw someone complaining the other day about notes, and they called it classic notes versus the new notes.
Right.
I wonder if it's the same kind of concept.
What's strange about this is, look at this. What's new? The classic docs are new. I don't understand that. And when I click on it, I'm getting a
403 not found.
Maybe they mean Classic Coke. Classic Coke's coming back.
Please
Create
no.
docs from your meeting. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. This is a very strange interface to me.
David, are you in Hub? I see Hub.
Yeah.
Are you in the Hub tab? Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting in itself too, because that is
You know,
their.
I don't know why it opened up there. I just opened it and it.
Yeah, go into the actual doc section. Maybe that it's broken in the actual Hub, because there's a docs tab there too.
Turn recent conversations into polished docs with Docs AI. I think that's new, by the way. Docs AI. Let me make this a little bigger, see what we can get.
Well, if it's like that thing I was reading about classic notes versus the new AI notes, I wonder if this is like a parallel.
So these are all the different notes you can. What? I didn't click anything. What are you doing? Wow, this is weird. Hold on. Explore more. Okay. Lesson plan. I don't I don't quite understand what I'm doing here. Why does it keep doing that? I'm not clicking anything. It's so strange. Okay. What is classic docs? No, nothing still. All right. Well, that's the problem. All data tables. What am I missing here? This all seems very confusing. I don't know what I'm supposed to. When I click on all data tables, shouldn't it take me to my data tables? When I click on all docs, shouldn't it take me to my docs? So I clicked on all whiteboards and it opened a brand new whiteboard. Go back to docs. No, I don't want that. This is back in the hub. Clips should just take me to. Oh, okay, that's fine. Take me to record new clip. Although I would have preferred if it took me to the clips library. That's okay. And my notes.
Okay, yeah, and you're going from the Hub, so it's basically it's pointing to the different services within Zoom from the Hub.
Notes are also now transcriptions, right? Which is weird to me a little bit.
So it's now listening to us talk, even though it's not in the meeting, but it's because the audio is coming through this computer. Boy, this is, I don't know. I haven't spent any time here, so it's not for me to judge, but I find this very confusing. What happens if I click on this? It just adds it up here. Huh. Okay. I'm not sure what to make of that. I was trying to find avatars. Sorry, that's
You're on avatars.
Yeah.
And while you're looking for avatars, Muddy, did you want to tell us what your answer was before you disappeared? Oh, he says, I remember now.
Yeah, sorry, I had to jump out there for a little bit. Well, there were two topics that we were talking about earlier that I wanted to chime in on. The first was this idea of transfer, and it is I think, as I was giving you thumbs up and thumbs down, it is really designed to be, as I understand it, a function to move between a desktop device and a mobile device. And so David, your experience was unique because you were the host of the meeting. And so, of course, when you transferred, it kicked you off. But this would happen for anyone. So anyone that is logged into the same account on both a mobile device and a desktop device, whichever device you are connected to that meeting, if you go to the other device and you're logged in with the same account, you'll see at the top of your Zoom application, your desktop application, an option to transfer. And it will join you to the meeting on the other device. and then disconnect you from that one. So exactly as Frank was describing, you know, if you're on a meeting on your desktop, need to switch to your phone, jump in the car, go to another location, get back on a different computer. That's really the functionality of it, and it works great in that use case. And it's all about being logged into the same user account. So that was the first topic. The second topic was about custom AV controller for Zoom rooms. And I actually didn't hear how the discussion ended, but this tool is a really, really cool tool. Not only does it increase some of the functionality that you have when working with Zoom rooms, like Dante control and NDI control. One of the big things that it does is it centralizes control so that from one software interface, and this software runs on a computer, unlike the regular Zoom Room controller, which only runs on an iPad. Actually, I think there is a web version that runs on a computer now that I say that, but primarily runs on an iPad, and it's designed to connect one controller with one Zoom Room. The Zoom custom AV controller can manage multiple Zoom rooms, so it can connect to an entire fleet of Zoom rooms. I was not aware of the limitation that you guys were saying it needed to be within the same local area network, which maybe makes, I mean, I can see why that would be the case, but I thought this tool would actually let you control Zoom rooms all around the world. So I wasn't aware of that limitation. However, what I did hear as you were reading the help screen, David, is when you're connecting. So the way that I have been connecting Zoom custom AV controller, I thought was through a login, so that when I'm logged in with the same account, I can see the Zoom rooms that are associated with that account.
And he said, I think, that he could get in with a login. It was just that authentication code.
That six-digit code. And what I did hear you say is that if you use that six-digit code, then it only lets you connect one Zoom room to the custom AV controller, which I only have one Zoom room. So in my testing, I've only ever tested it with one, but I have been able to connect with that authentication code that shows up when you first join. But
we were
anyway.
Frank suggested that it could have been an issue of a firewall or some other security
ports or something. But it's weird that if they can connect one way, then maybe it's not ports, maybe it's something else.
Yeah, I don't think that Muddy knew that part of it when he dropped off. He said, welcome home literally did make a comment about, although what's weird is that I can use the custom AV controller with a login, just not with the activation code.
Maybe the back end's not configured correctly. I don't know.
Well, and I think his initial question said that was a feature that was just added. So I wasn't aware of that either. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, David, how did you do on the avatars?
They're no better. I pulled it up.
No better.
Yeah,
you broke it?
No, I need to, okay, I'm going to try it again. Okay, hold on. So here's the problem. The problem is I can't do it on the computer that we're on. So I'm going to do it, but I can't really show this to you. I mean, I guess I could, but all right, let's try this. So let's go over here. I'm going to go to settings. Settings. Can't find anything. Where are settings? Am I missing it? Are they not here?
Click on your icon of your avatar in the top right corner. You can get there that way.
I know. I swore I got here through that, but okay, whatever. Settings. Okay. Go to video and effects. And okay, so I'm going to get rid of this one because that's terrible. So custom avatars. Yes, I'm going to do this. All right. So now I choose, I'm going to do realistic. Now it wants to take a picture. Now the problem here is that I see, I can't move this. And my camera, oh, yes, I can. My camera is over here. All right, so let me try this. Just ignore me for a second. So I'm right here and I'm going to take the photo. Wait, hold on. Okay. I'm going to move this. And no, like this. Okay. So now it took the photo. Now it's going to ask me to turn right and turn left. So hold on a second. Turn face left, then turn back.
Law enforcement's going to love this feature.
Turn face right, then turn back. Matching successful. So now I can move it back.
Does
over.
it then put your Zoom meeting ID in your hands, holding behind your underneath your chin?
Let's put, oh, look at that. It gave me a ZTK sweatshirt. I must have, how the heck did it get that? I must have uploaded that at some point. That's kind of funny. Okay. I didn't know that was going to happen. All right, let's see. So here's my avatar now. Apply. So boy, it doesn't look good at all. I could rotate. No, don't want to do. Oh, no, come back. Okay. So rotate. So now, if I were to now join this meeting, do this and do 6035337. David's avatar.
I wonder if there's a mocap plug-in for Zoom.
David's fake skin.
If you could let David's avatar in and let me mute. Okay. So here we are. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my avatar, show avatar. Okay. So here's my avatar. Now he's not going to talk. I have to actually turn the, let me do that. Let me, how do I do this? I'm going to mute this.
David, yeah, we got you. Both of you are muted. Make sure you unmute your main one.
Feels like the 60s to me every time he does this.
I don't know how to, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good now. You're good now.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
know I'm good now. But now what I think what I need to do actually is
No, keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. We've got 3 Tinder dates already. Going for a 4th.
All right, wait. I'm going to disconnect, leave computer audio. All right. Now you should be able to hear me. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Yep.
No. Yes.
Yeah, we
no?
hear you. Yes.
I
we
hear the real live,
Frank's
David. I
saying
don't.
no, but I can't hear you.
Well, I don't hear the avatar.
What?
I hear live, David. I don't hear avatar, David.
No, this is Avatar David.
Yeah, because
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You're supposed to give Avatar David a script, and Avatar David will speak on
Yeah,
your
that's
behalf.
what I was.
No,
expecting.
this is Avatar David is speaking to you right now.
Okay.
And,
Well,
and
it's.
you can tell because it's put a green box around it saying it's live.
Do you have your hand up its butt?
Yeah. Its face looks like you've done that. Yeah.
Let me get into my office here.
It'd be really cool if you could have it on your lap like a ventriloquist dummy. Mini me.
So, here we go. See, now this looks good, right? This is, oh wait, that's sorry, I chose a religious background. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. I need a non-religious background. Give me a non-religious background. I don't want that. All right. Well, in honor of Artemis. Okay. So here I am. And how does it look? How do I look? Pretty awful.
The contours of your body are changing dimensions depending where it rotates.
And of course, if I move my hands, I get nothing. So
the ZTK goes out of focus randomly.
Yeah. So this to me, that's not.
Looks a little bit like a Pepto-Bismol commercial. Like you're having some kind of stomach issues or something.
All right, wait. Let me try and get back in now. I gotta do this, and I gotta. And I should be back. Okay. Yeah, it's not better. I'm does absolutely nothing.
We only want the real David, except no substitutes.
I see zero value in the. I just
Yeah, but I'm at 6 months, a year from now, what's it going to be like? Maybe it'll be awesome.
absolutely,
Got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
So since we're on the whole AI bandwagon here today, I have a question for the illustrious panel. I deal with a lot of companies that are putting AI in everything, like that's the hype right now, and everybody wants to charge us tokens, AI tokens. So you get 20,000 or 20 million tokens, whatever, a month. How long till Zoom says, you can't have this all-you-can-eat model? You're going to have monthly token allowances, and if you run out of tokens, you're going to have to buy extra Zoom tokens for AI. Like, do you think that's coming?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. So I use Lovable. I do a lot of vibe coding on Lovable, and it doesn't eat tokens inappropriately, but it eats them. And I tell you something, when you're in a mission critical, in the middle of a mission critical whatever, and you run out of tokens, I throw money. It's ridiculous. It's obscene.
So I listen to this podcast called Intelligent Machines.
I do too.
And I listen to some other ones, but I think it was that show, maybe it was another show I listened to. They were saying even the cost of tokens now are still being subsidized, even though we're starting to have to pay more. They still don't think that we're paying the full price of the tokens. So a lot of these AI companies are losing money or subsidizing things because they want to corner the market and be first and have a hegemony or whatever. But Zoom hasn't mentioned a token system yet. Do you think it's coming?
They've got to be spending money subsidizing tokens. I mean, their entire their summarize this meeting or summarize this transcript, which is a really, really, it's very good. It does really good work. They've got to be subsidizing that. Because my cost for my Zoom plan didn't go up when they added Zoom AI Companion.
So are they making enough money on the front end that they can afford to eat the cost, or eventually will they say, no, we've got to start charging tokens for?
Well, maybe that's the play with Claude, because if you can outsource some of this AI work to a person's personal Claude account, then it becomes that person's problem with their Claude tokens and not Zoom's problem.
The only thing I'll poke a hole at that, and I'm not saying you're wrong, is but just as a thought exercise is. Some people say the data that the AI gets to learn from you, to scrape from you basically as you use it, is as much valuable as the money. Does Zoom not want that data itself, or does all the data pass through Zoom regardless if you connect it to another LLM? Because if Zoom loses access to the data, I think they wouldn't be happy about that, right?
Well, no, but the Claude plugin with Zoom, Zoom doesn't lose access to the data.
So they still retain the data, and Claude gets it as well.
I guess they just hand it off. But I'm not sure what they're doing with that data. I mean, they say out loud that they're not training their LLM with it. I mean, what is other than OpenAI that introduced ads? What are they using? How do they monetize my personal information if they're not serving me anything that I don't ask for?
Well, I'm not a lawyer or an AI expert, so I don't know, but they're not training their models. But what about the metrics of the meetings? They must be learning stuff from the metrics. That's not your personal data. That's data about the meeting, like how many times a hand was raised, how many times someone showed us a screen share. They must be like, that is completely sanitized, and there's no correlation to you as a human being about that, but they must maybe train their AI on that kind of thing, those metrics.
Maybe. And you know what you just made me think of? So let me quit and open Workspace again. Zoom Workplace or Zoom Workspace, I forget. So we were talking, was it a week ago or so, last week, 2 weeks ago, about all the ads that Zoom pushes, that everywhere we go, as a business customer, everywhere I go, I'm getting an ad, right? Even up here, right? This right here is an ad. You could use a bigger room, purchase a large meeting add-on. What would be interesting to me is if they were watching the kind of meetings that I was hosting and they were offering me tools that actually met my needs. right? I never need, and if Zoom were paying attention, they would know this. I never need a meeting larger than 500 or 300. I like in the history of me hosting meetings, I think a couple times I've hosted a meeting for 300 people. Never do I need a 500 to 1,500 person. Or
I bet you the sales department disagrees with you. You do need a license for.
But that's my point, is that if they are going to capture this information, then at least, you know, I'm a big fan actually of giving companies. I want Amazon to give me things that are relevant to me. I want Google to give me ads that are relevant to me. I don't want irrelevant ads. If I'm going to have to look at ads, at least make them relevant. Zoom could do the same thing. If it's doing what you're suggesting, Frank, right? If it is getting the information from the data, how many people raised their hands, how large was the meeting, how long did it go, what tools did he use, what apps did he use, then Zoom could actually feed me relevant ads that I might not ignore. This ad to me is meaningless, and it's taking up space, and frankly it's annoying. So that would be to me, that would be a good use.
David, I put in chat what I always capture all my windows of ads. So there's one that I got this week.
So what is this? Guide to building and expanding your business with Zoom. Was this where did you get this? Was this what was
post meeting? As soon as the meeting closed, whoop, pop up.
I've never gotten those, really.
Yeah, I've gotten those about, I've at least 5 or 6 that I've seen, not within the last month. It's every so often. But
I've never seen an after meeting ad. That's fascinating. But this isn't an ad. I mean, I'm sure it's leading you to purchase something, but this is a guide that's offering. By the way, hi Ray. Good to see you.
Hey guys. How's it going?
Did you download the guide?
Did I download the guide? I did not. But I made sure that I captured the window before I disappeared, because I was curious. I've been keeping a bit of a log of those as well.
It does say the fine print: grow your business with Zoom, get AI powered tips to reach customers. What that says to me is that no one actually wrote this guide. It's AI created, which is not bad. I'm just,
sure.
I hope someone maybe looked it over and checked for accuracy.
So quickly to go back to Frank's comment about AI related stuff. So what I foresee Zoom doing is that they will basically down the road say you have X amount of tokens a month in your account. That I foresee happening. Going, our pro people, you have X amount of tokens. Your business people, you have X.
Which is exactly what they do with meetings. Right. As a pro, you have up to 100 participants. As a business, you have up to 300 participants. I mean, that doesn't bother me. That's perfectly normal to me. As long as the token bank that you get is a reasonable token bank.
Yeah. And that's what I foresee, that once they figure out the number, because right now everybody's in learning mode right now to be, AI's in learning mode, and so are the companies running the AI systems right now, because it's all coming down to infrastructure right now. So the infrastructure is what's costing them the millions, if not billions of dollars to keep the data centers running, to keep everybody happy, that as soon as somebody hits enter, that within a millisecond or two, or within a second, hopefully, you're getting an answer from AI giving you the proper information. But until they figure out what the true cost of that token is, and Frank's not wrong. Right now, they are subsidizing our tokens right now. 100% they are.
Yeah. And what a bet to have an open AI valued at however many hundreds of billions of dollars when they're in the whole. I mean, this is a futures bet on this. Ray, go ahead.
Well, Mike, one of the things that you didn't really mention is that they're also training the customers. They're training the customers to rely on it. And so they're not only training the AI and training the company, they're training the customers about, this is what AI can do for you. And I mean, it's a good / bad analogy, but it's like giving somebody some drugs out on the street. Sure, take this. you're going to enjoy it. You go, wow, that was really great. Give me some more. And no one explains to you, and now you're addicted, and we only have a limit. I personally don't think Zoom is going to really go that far. Kind of as I put in the YouTube chat, I think they've got it built into their pricing model. For example, if you want to use the Zoom virtual assistant, which I saw a demo yesterday. There was I don't know if anybody attended, customer service. I forget who those guys are, customer success people talking about virtual and virtual attendant and how it can be used. It's fantastic. What, David?
Sorry, virtual attendant?
Virtual assistant, I think, is the
Okay.
Ziva. The ZVA is actually a product that you can buy, and it normally comes with call center, or can be an add-on to call center. I don't understand the product relationship that well, because I asked, can you use this for your virtual attendant without buying call center? Because call center is flipping expensive.
Is this virtual agent? Is that what you're?
Yeah, it's probably virtual agent. I think the actual product name, well, they call it VA. So yeah.
Yeah. So
so I think they build that pricing model in, and they might come to you and go, I'm sorry, but your organization, for some strange reason, is using 10 times more than everybody else. We have to talk. But
you can call.
I think Zoom would rather charge the very high price to everybody and just make sure everybody's got enough.
All right, wait, we're calling Zoom virtual agent. Click to call. I don't actually know that this is going to work. Can we hear?
This conversation is recorded for quality and training purposes.
Can you all hear that?
I'm Z, a Zoom virtual agent.
Yes.
I can hear you clearly. Would you like to check the audio quality or try the sales or support demo scenario?
Let's do a sales and support demo.
Sure, let's set that up for you. We'll start with the sales demo, then move into support after that. Would you like to book a 30-minute appointment with a company representative or ask questions about Zoom virtual agent and customer experience products?
I'm curious about Zoom customer agent and what it does.
Sure, let me walk you through that. Zoom Customer Agent is an AI agent with an overview tab that shows performance metrics and a conversation details tab where you can review individual customer interactions for analysis and optimization.
So
would you like to hear about the high level?
So someone calls my business. So someone calls my business, you answer, and you're able to help them out without any human intervention?
Exactly. I understand what you're asking.
At what
Zoom virtual agent can handle calls.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You go ahead.
No problem at all. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So what was
to a live agent?
Oh, wait a second. Make your mind up. You said go ahead, but then you started talking again. You go, I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead.
No worries at all. Take your time. You're right. I'll stay quiet now. What's your question?
Okay. So at what point do you transfer to a live person, and how does that work?
Good question. Let me explain that for you. Zoom virtual agent transfers the conversation to a live person whenever escalation is needed. For example, if the issue is too complex or automation can't resolve it. When that happens, it hands off the call using either a SIP refer or SIP invite method, depending on what your phone provider supports.
Okay. So that was kind of cool. Those pauses are, I completely understand why it needs the pauses, but they're a little unsettling, and you don't know quite what to do.
Yeah, there's definitely with an AI, David, you cannot over talk an AI because AI doesn't understand
Right.
I'm talking and I'm supposed to listen at the same time.
I didn't
You're
mean
pushing it
to.
too
I
hard.
wasn't trying to be rude. I just.
Then you confuse it going, oh, you
I
want me to
know.
shut up, so I'm going to shut up. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, Ray. I interrupted you. I was just trying to figure out what we were talking about.
No, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of AI going on in the background, and they explained the whole model yesterday about being able to either point it to part of your website or dump some PDFs with FAQs, and you start small and you get some feedback on the back end of when did it get confused, when could it not handle things, what things were being asked that it didn't have an answer for. And then you can go, oh, okay, we don't have anything that addresses this sort of an issue. And you go prepare that and load that into the LLM. And they say, to take that approach as opposed to point it to your entire website is probably a bad idea because you already kind of don't know what people are using. Yeah. So there's enough AI usage there, and I think the product is probably expensive enough that you're well paying for it.
So I just Googled virtual agent because it dawned on me that they didn't come up with this themselves. There are, I'm sure, hundreds of different types of virtual agents out there.
Yeah. A lot of this, David, too, also comes into play if you start getting into Zoom Contact Center.
Right. So that's where I was going, is that, there are a bunch of Ring Central has a virtual agent, TalkDesk has a virtual agent, Microsoft has a virtual agent, Dialpad. Oh no, that's something different. Sorry. But the advantage that Zoom gives you is that it's part of this ecosystem. So if you're using the phone, if you're using Docs, if you're using meetings, if you're using all chat, then it becomes indispensable to have this wired in. When I started vibe coding, in our school here, we have a hot lunch program. So I vibe coded a hot lunch app where basically parents can see the menus, they can order the lunch, and then it spits out reports. Great. And then I vibe coded something for the aftercare program. And I made all these individual apps. What I'm doing now and what I'm realizing the value of is having everything under one roof, where you've got one source of truth for the student list, for the parent list, for all those different things. So now I have one app that has all those as sort of I don't know what you call them, components
of apps.
Yeah, and that really is what Zoom is building here. And this is if you live in that ecosystem, this is a really powerful addition.
Yeah, especially with contact center too, because again, you have people coming into you got to think of virtual agent or virtual assistant similar to, thank you for calling, blah, blah, blah. Press 1 for this, press 2. That was the archaic, back in the day. Now with AI, you're getting that on steroids, right? So basically it's the scenario of you've got still, thank you for calling, if you would like to, you would still have that beginning part, or you could actually have them hit a number and all of a sudden talk to this virtual agent, or the virtual agent can actually talk to you while you're on hold waiting for that live person to come in too now, right?
They talked about that yesterday, and they said, don't ever say, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, say 1 for this, say 2 for that. You start your question out with, in a few words, tell me what you're looking for. And then they get some more context out of that, and they're able to tease out exactly which thing they're asking, as opposed to billing. I received a duplicate invoice yesterday. Oh, okay. Well, they don't just take you to billing. They go in and go, I see from your phone number what your customer account is. Let me go take a look. Oh, look, I do see 2 invoices from yesterday, but they were for different products or something along those lines.
Yeah. And also too, David, it depends on how much you have contact center and the virtual agent integrated with your backend, your CMS company-wise as well. So if you actually have it dip in, like Ray just gave us the example, it could actually do a lot of this stuff for you, where it could actually check the minute stuff of, example that Ray gave of the double bill, right? So, the AI will actually do a lookup in the actual database for that and actually go, yeah, you're correct. Let me put you through to the next visual, so that they're already it's called pre-qualifying, right? You're pre-qualifying so that you take the pre-qualifications away from it being a human and it being AI now.
What I think where I think we really need to buy Hasmuk, where I think we really need to go with this is to get to a place where when I do call and I do get that AI that says, how can I help? Or whatever it says, that I don't know that it's AI. And I'll give you an example of this. I had an interaction with maybe it was the Department of Education with the state here. And oh no, you know what it was? It was Twilio. Do you all know what Twilio is? So I didn't, but I'm using it now because in this app that I'm building, I wanted to have SMS messaging. So, and I was having a problem with Twilio, and I got an email response, and at first it read like it was by a human being, but then I looked at it a second time, and it was a little too long. It was a little too detailed, too good. To this day, I genuinely don't know if that was an AI or not. And that to me is where we have to get even with the voice chatbots, because as soon as I know that it's not a human being, I'm going to say operator, 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 or agent. And I'm just going to keep saying that until it spits me over to one because I have no patience.
So I'll share a story with you, folks, that this happened back in the 90s when IBM internally started to move all of its internal help desks to India, and let's just say the North American employees and even the Northern European employees and of course, you always get this email after you've interacted with the help desk. How do you rate our service? This typical service feedback discussion. And they'd always get really bad numbers. The problem we had is we had an employee, actually, I had an employee who was part of the Raleigh help desk and was living and working in Raleigh, but he had immigrated from India 10 years prior. So he still had a very pronounced Indian accent. And he kept getting dinged because everyone thought they were being connected to somebody in India. So that's the early version of what you just described.
Right. We've become so accustomed to what Mike described as the early versions of those AI answer bots that I can't stand them. I have zero patience for them. Zero.
Right. And now they're just becoming that more sophisticated, where you're right, David. The more seamless it'll be that you won't be able to tell that it's truly an AI system that's answering and listening and such. Like you even heard her mannerisms of, oh, that's such a great question.
Right.
You've got all the inflections and such.
You know what's interesting, Mike, is that it almost feels a little deceitful to try and make an AI as good as a human being. But honestly, if it solves my problem, I don't really care. I don't care if it's a human being or not. Just solve my problem.
Right. That's right. And again, because this is what happens in customer support queues all the time, is that you'll end up using a warm body, and it was the simplest thing in the world that could have been done by a couple of little clicks here and there, and then the person's gone.
Right.
Right. And that's where AI is going to, as long as the company sets everything up properly, and there's the big caveat there. If everything is set up properly by that company for their system to make sure that the AI is smart enough to be able to dig in to certain portions of their system to actually answer going back to Ray's example of dual bill, happens all the time. It's not abnormal. Okay.
Do you think
train an AI to fix it?
Do you think we're going to finally come live? Everyone remember on The Big Bang Theory when Raj was having a relationship with Siri?
With Siri? Like the Siri?
Well, they actually had the fun part is they had the voice actress on who does the voice of Siri. They actually had her on the show. And so she was in the, every once in a while they cut to an office where she was talking to Raj. And so Raj being Raj, tried to have a relationship with Siri.
Gotcha.
Because it sounded so real to him.
Right. And now we have to worry about Haswick now because all of a sudden he keeps talking to Uncle Claude. Right. Yeah. So we have to worry about that too.
Frank has his hand raised.
Oh, and Frank
I
said,
don't know how to raise hand in mobile.
Did you use transfer?
Yeah, I did.
There you go.
So you've been saying a bunch of interesting things. I think context is really important. If you're, calling someone who made your dishwasher and you want a part or something, you maybe don't care if you use AI, and maybe as long as you get your part faster, you're okay with that. But when I'm talking to someone and I don't know if they're AI or not, that's a problem for me. And I know there's a lot of companies trying to stake out the ground to say, hey, we'll certify whether or not you're talking to an AI, and there'll be a logo or a symbol or something on the screen that tells you if it's AI or not. But without legislation, and this is very hard because different countries, different regions have different legal systems, it's going to be a long time. And I think some corporations just aren't ethical. But I also put in the comments, like, these service agents are kind of like when grocery stores trained us all to bag our own groceries, and we didn't get a reduction in price when they laid off all the workers. Like, how is this good for society in some ways, right? So, yeah, you get an AI and it's like, tell us the context of your problem, but in the meantime, hundreds of call center workers across each city are getting laid off. Like, it's great for the corporations. How is it great for humans? And a lot of people don't want to deal with this, right? Anyways, that's just some moral grandstanding on my behalf.
Well, but couldn't you make that same moral argument about every time that technology is upended?
You can, but one of the aspects of government is to sort of limit corporate greed and maybe have things go in a pace or in a fashion that is healthier than just complete greed and run with technology before we understand the implications of the technology.
Maybe your government thinks that way.
Well, I'm just saying in general, like, no specific countries have been named, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes we can do things before we understand the implications of what we're doing.
Of course,
well,
of course. That's certainly true.
I think it can work both ways. I think it can work both ways. I would like to know that I'm talking to an AI and that I'm not talking to somebody who might have just got hired yesterday and doesn't really know what they're talking about. Or, it would be nice to have full disclosure, for someone to go, hi, my name is Sue, and I just started today, but I'm going to try and help you the best I can. We don't get that level of cooperation from people. And I think there ought to be rules about when we're notified whether we're speaking to a computer or not. But we already have voice controlled, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And, the announcements
but that's transparent.
Your doctor's office don't start out, you're listening to a recording.
Sure. At least it's transparent though, when it says this an automated attendant, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You kind of have a sense that you're in an automated system. It's getting so good now that maybe I'm an AI you're talking to. Like, how do you know?
It just doesn't bother me. I don't know. As long as it solves my
problem. But that's you. What
course.
about the context of all humanity? Like 360 million Americans, like, you're one opinion, and I'm sure there's lots of people agree with you, but shouldn't there be some legislation or some thought about safeguards and guardrails?
Yes. The answer is yes, David.
Yes. Yeah.
Because look, we've got people way over here on the far left and way over here on the far right, and most of us are kind of right here in the middle, and some of us don't really care about one thing or another, but the people on either end over here care about their neck of the woods very, very deeply. And we need to make sure that we do have things like those guardrails that make it comfortable for everybody to use within whatever priorities they have in life.
I don't disagree with that. I think where I'm maybe disagreeing is that this is a bad thing for society. That somehow, having better AI help desk is going to put people out of a job. It will. Yes, there will be job loss. And there always is. Whenever a new technology comes along, there's job loss and society figures it out. And that's not because of government. That's because we figure it out. And so, I don't look, maybe I can say this because I feel safe in the work that I do, which will never be taken over by, I shouldn't say that, which I can't imagine visiting someone in the hospital, teaching a 2-year-old. I mean, I can't imagine that is going to be taken over by AI in my lifetime. Maybe later, maybe, but, so maybe I'm saying this because I feel safe, but I don't, I don't know. I'm not averse to guideposts and guidance. I'm not at all convinced that government should be the body that does that, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And I don't care what party you're in. They have no clue what they're doing when it
Yeah.
comes to technology.
And again, this is where it becomes too, and this is the infamous word that I heard this week when it comes related to AI too, is that, we have to keep in mind that the internet is borderless.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden governments are you guys have border to border to border to border. Governments control borders within that border. Internet right now, as it stands and has been for years, is still borderless. So it almost would have to be a large world conglomerate of sorts, in my mind, that if AI is going to be quote unquote policed in one way or another, this worldwide conglomerate from representatives from every country would have to be sort of the, shall we call it, and I don't want to use the governing body, but that's where that governing comes into play. If there is going to be any governing of AI, that's what I envision as my own opinion, is that would be the safest, because then at least then there would be some sort of, because again, we don't know where where AI is going to go, above and beyond Zoom too. There's a lot of ways of manipulating AI, and it's just starting, and there's no real guards in place to stop the manipulation of what AI could actually potentially do. So that's where I'm going to say that there needs to be some sort of world conglomerate of some sort that is not private sector owned either, for that matter.
We have standards bodies, and we have World Health Organization in the United States and NATO. And it only takes one country to have someone that goes, we're not going to do that. Not that that would really have, oh, wait, never mind, I'm sorry.
Good point, right? Very good point.
Yeah, back to your discussion about governments and how good they can be in the right hands. And I'll stop there.
Yeah. Fully understood. And yes, that is what I would see. But yeah, so it would be equivalent to like a World AI organization. Let's just throw that name out there just for giggles. So that is where I would see. But again, it wouldn't be where the private companies right now are basically got carte blanche to do anything they want. It's eventually going to have to, somebody's going to have to eventually step in and do something if AI is as powerful as our Canadian boy that is classified as the godfather of AI is paranoid about.
Yeah, I've heard him a few times.
Yeah.
He's a interesting.
Yeah, interesting professor from up here in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to work for Google.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had to leave Google because he wasn't liking seeing what he was seeing at AI.
Okay. Nice.
And that's why you started to hear about him.
Right.
And then you've got the list of, everybody else that's concerned about AI too, which unfortunately is somebody that actually owns AI. One right now, something called Gronk, was also paranoid about how AI might do some interesting things.
What's his name?
Gronk? Am I not saying the X?
Grok? You mean Grok? Grok.
Yeah. Sorry, I might have been saying it wrong.
You think he's concerned about AI?
He was.
He wasn't.
Well, he signed a petition, whatever that meant.
Come on. He just testified this week against OpenAI and he admitted that Grok is trained on OpenAI, on ChatGPT. Like, come on. I have no patience for that. Tell me you're afraid of AI and then build an AI. Like, come on. Sam Altman's the same way. Sam is like, oh, we definitely have to have this and that. Well, stop then. Stop doing it.
They won't.
No, they won't. Of course they won't.
They're making too much money on it, David.
Bingo. Actually, they're not. They're actually not making too much money on it, right? Based on what we talked about before. But the potential is
phenomenal.
Insane.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
cool.
Mr. Mike, you are host, my friend.
Thank you, sir. And I will do it before David leaves. Oh, there it is. If you have any other questions from the YouTube audience, let us know in chat and I will relay it to our panelists here. Very cool. I got that in before David left. Look at that. Who knew? Cool. So Ray, give us an update. Where's Ray been for all these weeks? Let everybody know in the Zoom Test Kitchen community.
I've been working on my global virtual conference for nurses and midwives about planetary health, which occurred last week, Tuesday and Friday. I had 2 19-hour days. So it was pretty interesting. And everything leading up to that.
Yeah. And then everything leading up to that. That's right. That's very important.
Yeah. We had over 90 speakers. And without stealing the thunder of what I'm going to be talking about on Tuesday with you and John, I'm going to talk about the conference and how it was initially conceptualized in March of last year, and how I found some content provider nurses who have been, just working their buns off behind the scenes, trying to get speakers and sponsors and that sort of stuff. And, we basically created a 2-day event over 6 regions. And we started very, very late at night, like 11:30 p.m. here in Arizona time, where I was hosting many of the sessions from the Western Pacific because it was daytime there. And after we got done with the Western Pacific, about a 5-hour block and about a 1 to 2 hour break, we did Europe. And after we did Europe, another hour break or two, we did North America, and that was Tuesday. And then Friday, we did Southeast Asia first, and then we did Africa and the Middle East, and then we did Latin America and the Caribbean. So very interesting to have planetary health conscious nurses and midwives, and had a couple of physicians and a couple of researchers also along the way, talking about not just climate change, but basically 9 different measures of how the planet really is affecting the health of us mere inhabitants. And it was a great conference. I really enjoyed it. We had in the middle of each 5-hour block a set of 1-hour concurrent slots, and I had some of my buddies that we know helping out with some of those. We ran everything with Production Studio. All of the recordings are there, and the people who got tickets have 3 months to watch recordings, and a lot of nursing educators will be sharing this with their classrooms and so forth. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And this was all done on the Zoom Events platform, right?
95% of it was done on the Zoom events platform. Here's the teaser for next Tuesday. You know, when you have a Zoom event, it can either be paid or it can be free. And if it's free, anybody can join, with a couple of minor exceptions of embargoed, sanctioned countries that are prohibited from joining. But if you have a paid event using the Zoom payment approach, when they use Stripe or PayPal, there's 28 countries that they will allow into your paid event. And the other countries, and I'm trying to clarify this now with some high-level people up in Zoom. I'm trying to clarify whether this is indeed what it is or not, but it's what the document says, is that anyone not in those 28 countries cannot attend your event, even if you grant them a free ticket. They are embargoed from attending the event. So what I ended up doing was doing a little Dave Paskin song and dance with some vibe coding, and I created my own registration system, made it a free event in Zoom Events, and I basically controlled all of the ticket sales. And also, we had a little over 200 free tickets given to people from countries, low-income countries, and people that could not afford the cost of admission, which at its peak in the United States and a couple of other places is $40. That was all we charged. So, and there's a sliding scale. My ticketing app had a sliding scale by country down to $5, and you know, all based on economies and that sort of thing. Yeah, a lot of fun.
So that's why it was only. That's why it was 95%, and that last 5% was the outside. Ticketing system.
The ticketing. Yeah.
Very cool.
I've already had some people interested in, they did not know or understand the limitation of having a paid event internationally and globally. And I went, oh, I've got this thing. Oh, let's talk. And I said, we can talk in May. I'm busy in April.
That's right. And it's May. It's May 1st, everybody. All right, cool. No, that's good, Ray. So that's a good teaser for John and I's show this Tuesday on Lord Zoom Live. We're going to have Ray go into full depth on his full experience on how he actually took from point A of getting the customer all the way to what stumbling blocks he ran into for that 95% and then had to go to that 5%. And then we'll go into more depth, and that'll be on Tuesday's Lord Zoom Live show. So that's very cool. Cool. Mr. Peter Sargent, anything happening this week that you want to talk about?
And I promise
we will. I promise
I did one of those Coast Guard Tech Talks again on Tuesday of this week. It went fairly well. The problem I always have with those is I don't control the content per se. I help schedule the content, but I don't actually get to see, in this case, what the professor wants to show.
Right.
And he had, shall we say, extraordinarily information dense slides.
Font equals small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
8-point type in some cases,
Ooh la la. My goodness. So everybody knows, and we're going to say this out onto the Zoom Test Kitchen community. What's the smallest font we should go on slides, everybody? Okay. Let us know in chat. What's the smallest font size before we have our panelists answer? Let's get some numbers in chat on YouTube and see if you guys are right. What's the smallest font size we should be using on slides, especially if we're going to actually be doing IMAG or image magnification in a hybrid situation as well. So we're going to take that into consideration too. So in person, as well as for our friends on Zoom or YouTube in that case too.
So I'll share with you a test I learned from the site director of corporate communications for IBM up in Poughkeepsie, New York, when I started doing presentations. And that was back in the days when we did real slides, right? Real, I mean, 35 millimeter, carousel.
Yeah. In the Bell and Howell slide projector.
Or the Kodak carousel.
Or the Kodak carousel.
I walked around,
right?
I traveled with several Kodak carousels for a while.
Yeah.
But when we were creating the slides, they'd use a little tiny HP flatbed plotter to create to draft the slides, and then we'd send them off to somebody who would reduce them down to 35 millimeter. But he'd say, draft it out do it on a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, put that piece of paper on the floor, stand up. Now, if you can read it without squinting, it's probably okay. If you have to squint to read it or start to bend down to read it, the font or the diagram is too small, because a lot of my stuff had diagrams, not necessarily a font. So I know the smallest I tend to use is 32.
32. Interesting number. I'm curious to see what our friends on YouTube are doing. So I'm just giving them a few more seconds because I just actually put that into chat as well. So Ray, what is your rule of thumb on telling people font size?
Never really measured that much, but you usually the standards that are in PowerPoint, you get the title, and that's, I don't even know what font size it is, but it's big, and I rarely will make 2 lines out of that, and if I do, I don't reduce the font size. I make the title section bigger, and then down below that there's bullets and 1 level of sub bullet, and that's as far as I go. I've seen people do nested indentations, down to 3, 4, and then there's the people who make a left side and a right side, and no. I like the concept of having slides that support what the speaker is saying, typically preferably with graphics or just imagery, and reduce the amount of words on the screen, but have them help set the mood and the intention. Sometimes you've got data that you want to show, but make the data as simple as possible so that people can see arrows and points. What was the song? 8x10 color glossy photographs at Alice's restaurant. So make them so that they support what you're saying, and make what you're saying the important stuff, and don't be reading the slides.
Right. There it is. Don't be reading the slides. Yes. Yes, 100%. Don't be reading the slides. John and I actually talked about that this week, actually, as a matter of fact. If not this week, or the week before. And another little tip that I also have too is that for presenters is that for the amount of information that you do have on the slide, and you do want to have the slide up for X amount of time, you basically have to have that slide up as a rule of thumb that I've always used, so that the person can actually read all the information on the slide and has enough time 3 times to be able to read the whole slide. And you'll say, but Mike, that could be a long time. Then you should be listening to Ray and only having 3 bullet points.
That's a standard I heard for years too.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a good rule of thumb if it's not a standard.
Yeah. So again, if you've got too much content and you're ready to change that slide and people haven't had a chance to read it 3 times full all the way through, then chances are that slide was overloaded and or in theory now becoming useless in your presentation because they didn't grasp any of the information on it. They might have got a little bit here and there, but they didn't actually get the full information from that slide.
You know, there's
So
only
no-
one true rule of thumb, don't you?
which is
One
The
per hand.
historical?
One per
Oh.
hand.
Yeah.
one per hand. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
the rule of thumb I heard for PowerPoint slides was no more than 5 bullets and no more than 5 words per bullet.
Ader's event sounds like death by PowerPoint to me.
Yeah, where Peter unfortunately had this week. Yeah, you did. Was it that bad, Pete? Was it only one slide that was bad, Pete?
No, unfortunately, it was not.
Okay.
It was not.
So easily, maybe his 10 slide deck could have been 30. Is that what you're telling me?
Unfortunately, his 35 slide deck could have been 70.
Ooh la la.
Or more.
Ooh la la. 30 fully packed, small font, 8 size font.
It
So
was tiny, and I'm looking at it on a 32-inch screen that's less than 3 feet from my face, and it was hard to read.
Yeah. When you start getting below 10, like, that's already horrible just in regular sight to a monitor. So can you imagine how bad it would be doing it other ways? My rule of thumb, I like 32. I actually don't mind. I if you need to dip lower than 32, I would say no less than 24 is my answer. I don't know if that's fair or not to everybody.
24 is what we tell people too. If you really need to go that small, 24 is the smallest you can go.
Right.
Yeah. So that is definitely the rule of thumb that I use as well for any of the, especially who love abusing that all the time, are the corporates. When I did all kinds of corporate gigs, they would have the smallest pie charts, and they want people to be able to read the legend in the pie chart, and the font is about eight size, because they've just basically brought in the chart from a different program into the PowerPoint as an image, and then of course it's blurry and the font doesn't make sense and such like that. And it's like, no. You want people to see it, right? It's just not a pretty picture. You want people to be able to read it too, right?
It's not just the font though, or the size. It's also the font you choose. It's the contrast.
Yeah.
Serif versus sans serif. There's a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. Frank's 100% right. Again, the more, we won't be using, any kind of funky fonts, especially if there is the potential of this letter looking like another letter. That's already going to cause.
What? No Comic Sans?
No Comic Sans. No Comic Sans. Maybe Impact. Maybe. Impact will definitely. But I'm kidding about Impact. But yeah, when it comes to, that's right. No Comic Sans. Yeah, because that will make it definitely comical. Yeah, as in people won't be able to read it properly. All right.
There are so many AI plugins for PowerPoint now, just to bring it full circle.
Yeah, Frank. In what regards do you mean by that?
You put in your PDF or your raw text, and it basically queries you and designs your whole slideshow, picks the backgrounds, does everything.
Right. So so is this going back to AI again? Because I can envision that too.
Oh yeah. There's a ton of people trying to leverage their slide knowledge into AI products to help you. You suck at PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Graphic design is hard. Like, good graphic design is very hard, and most people will never master it, right?
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fair, Frank. Yeah, to say that again, but again, just be careful and make sure that you don't do something silly. And this is a perfect example of that. I'll just do this as a sidebar a little bit. One of the wrestling organizations out there actually had one of their wrestlers in a AI comic done graphic, and they had the actual wrestling title belt on them, and the person in the marketing department didn't realize that AI actually used their competing wrestling companies logo on there instead of their logo on the special back. So that gives you a perfect example why we check, and we check a third time to make sure that we don't have our competing people have it looking like we're advertising them instead of advertising ourselves. And considering he was currently the wrestling champion too, it just made it look that much worse too. So
I came in.
Yes,
When
Lois,
you all
hello.
were when you all were talking about fonts, and
Yes.
And this has applied for a long time. I mean, when in the 90s when I started making websites, it applied and applies now. One of the things you can do is you can check with other people. You can test people who have different computers and different whatever it is to check if what they're seeing from you is what you intend to send out. And I know that I don't know where your discussion came from, but I do know that we've had discussions about whether or not your screen share is becoming blurry because there's a person or there's not a person. So you have a lot of things to think about. And if you are doing it, I would say if it's something that's serious, like the wrong, check, bring it into a meeting with other people and throw it up on the screen and say, how does that look to you all? And if you're in a Zoom meeting like this, where, we've got 6 people, so our windows are pretty big, but if we had 20 people, they'd be little tiny things. And it's like, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with this?
Yeah. So Lois, just to give you a little bit of backstory, Pete was talking about his event this week, and he had Professor Pete.
A doctor from NOAA, PhD type from NOAA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that person decided to use 8-point font.
Oh my gosh.
Correct.
I can't even read that when it's in somebody sends me a regular type, a PDF or a file or something.
Exactly.
100%. 100%, Lois. And that's exactly what I said too, that if you can't even read it on your monitor that's in front of you, it shouldn't be on a slide.
And another thing is, remember the difference between a Windows user and a Mac user, because the pixels and the points are different. In other words, in Mac, a pixel is a point. So if it's an 8-point, it's 8 pixels, but it's not on Windows. So you can have someone create something on the one and have everybody else going, what is that? Or you create something on that one and everybody else, whoa, that's big. So keep that in mind. That test with your friends who have lots of different things to test with.
Yeah, well, and that's why one of the things that's interesting is you'll see a lot of the programs, be it fonts or colors, are the so-called web safe colors. Because
and web safe colors is a good thing. It's a real thing. And at the time that people started making web pages, there were machines that had limited number of colors. And so that's what the web safe colors came from, is so that those machines would always see a consistent thing. It would always be the same thing. Now, most modern machines can handle thousands of colors, if not millions. So web safe colors there's nothing wrong with using them, but they're not necessary at this point.
Right. Yeah. Just because computers and tablets and phones and such that are viewing web pages have the capabilities of seeing, as Lois was saying, easily in the millions of different color variations.
So I think the most important thing when you're creating a web page or something that you're going to show is the contrast. In other words, black letters on a white screen is what we are typically used to, because that's what books are, right? Black on white. If you reverse that, remember that white will bleed into the black, if you will. If you made vertical stripes, black, white, and they're exactly equal, and you look at them, the black will look smaller than the white. No, so did I get it backwards? I got it backwards, darn it. The black bleeds into the white. Anyway, so if you've reversed it and you're going white text on black background or dark or whatever, make sure that you increase the width of your text so that it will be more readable. And you can do that with font size, with font style, or, embolding or whatever. But it's one of those weird, your eyes make differences.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Another trick, I'm giving away all the tricks, aren't I? If you create something that's got colors in it, and you want to know if this is going to look good to people who have, I don't know, red-green problems or whatever, the easiest way to do it is take a picture and then look at it grayscale. And because your grayscale will show you, you can have bright blue and bright pink, and they'll be exactly the same grayscale and be totally unreadable for some folks. So yeah, grayscale is a good way to check things. Anyway, good luck, Peter. Are you going to show us what you did when you get done with it?
Oh, I'm done with it.
Are you going to show it to us?
It's out on on 2 YouTube channels, as a matter of fact.
Uh-huh.
All I did was, I'm the host and I recorded it. I don't take any credit for the content.
You didn't build that slide that was 8 point, huh?
I didn't build the presentation. It
So
was actually an interesting presentation, as long as I wasn't looking at the slides.
Right.
It was one of those presentations. Oh,
well, he knows his stuff and he talked to it, but he decided to say everything, and he wasn't reading the slides. You could tell this particular gentleman knew his topic very, very well, and he had just did an information dump to slides and wanted to make sure everything he said was on the slides, but he wasn't reading the slides. That I could tell.
So it was so even if I was reading the slide, I'm getting even more information off of the slide than he was telling me. So I can't even, yeah.
So, one of I'm not saying you should tell your presenter this, but if I were to talk to a presenter, I would say one of the easiest ways to make sure that your information is gotten across clearly is to make a slideshow and turn it into a PDF and have it as a handout. And so at the end of the thing, you put a link, and there you can download the PDF, and there it is in all its glory, and you've got all the slides, and you can remember what he said. And that's a great way to do something. It's much better than trying to read it while you're listening.
That would have worked, Lois, because I've used that approach as well in the past. This was strictly a virtual meeting.
Right. I'm not saying you could have done anything different this time. I'm just thinking about the future. Hey, what happened to Frank? Frank left again. He was here.
He was driving. He was driving.
Yeah, he was driving. I think Frank actually, he was just showing us. I think he stopped wherever he was. I saw bricks behind him, so he might be still outside or something. But yeah, so when it comes to, so that is my answer. Yes. So font size, no smaller than 24 has been a rule. And Frank backed me up on that he's been telling that. Oh, there's Frank. And
looks like he's on a motorcycle.
I know he's looking like he's in his biker outfit. I know. Nope. It's just cooler outside. That's called a fall/winter jacket.
Yeah, in Ottawa.
It's 5 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So I shall convert that for everybody.
I hope that's Celsius.
That officially is Celsius. Yes. So that is almost 40.
Yeah.
Around 40. Anyway.
That's better than 5 degrees Fahrenheit.
Double it, add 32, subtract 10%.
Yeah. And round up in the middle. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to pop in and say hi to you guys. And then I heard on the YouTube, I heard font, and I went, font. So
Lois's specialty, fonts. That's good.
Well, let's bring
what?
Let's attach this back to Zoom. So,
yes.
I would say 50, 70, 80% of Zoom meetings have slideshows. So having good slides in Zoom makes your Zoom show a lot better, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. No matter, and on top of that too, depending on the situation, like I was saying too, is it strictly online? You know, in our case, it would be either strictly online using Zoom or hybrid, still using Zoom. We still want to make sure that that font is big enough. So I'm not doing.
Well, the other thing is that when you're on Zoom, if you put your slideshow as your square rather than sharing screen, then people have the option of pinning it and making it big, or not pinning it and making it small. So I think Zoom is more flexible for a lot of folks.
Zoom also has OCR if you turn it on.
Mm.
And Zoom Companion can use the OCR to give you better results later.
Okay. Anyway, bye guys. See you next time.
See you, Lois. Take care. Thanks for joining.
You want to explain OCR to our listeners who may not know what I'm talking about?
Well, Frank, you open the can.
This way, it's a dialogue. So, optical character recognition. So if you have a piece of paper with a bunch of writing on it, Zoom can analyze the writing and say, "Oh, those are words. I know what they say," and then use it as a data source.
So then you've got image to text.
You've got
an image of a text to
Zoom.
text.
Zoom can see the characters and understand what they are, even though Zoom's not alive, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about printed words in an image rather than handwritten script in an image.
Yeah, exactly. Usually, I don't know. Maybe it can do handwriting. I've never looked into it.
I don't think Zoom can do it directly. There are other programs that make that really easy. We do that for genealogy a lot.
Yeah, but I know there's AI handwriting analysis. There's all kinds of stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Frank on the road with us today. So we've had a couple of people come in from on the road. So that's really cool. Zoom Test Kitchen community. Awesome. All right. Let me throw this out there so that everybody can ask us if you have any questions and such for us on the YouTube. If you do have any questions for Frank, for Frank, Ray, Peter, and I, let us know in YouTube chat and we will do our best to get you those answers here live before we wrap up for this week's show. All right, cool. So Ray, nothing on the agenda this week besides us with Tuesday, or you've got other things in the hopper?
I've got a long list of things that I've been collecting over the last month or two that I need to put some energy into, but other than getting all my tech hosts paid and that sort of stuff taken care of, I got all that done, and been taking it easy, relatively speaking.
That was a large event for you to do, and that basically you dedicated yourself. That was almost a full week, right? Worth of just events.
So it was 2 days. It was that 19-hour swap on Tuesday and a 19-hour swap on Friday, but really the entire month of April and I want to say a fair amount of March really were corresponding with the ever increasing number of speakers and moderators and that sort of thing. Just sort of, I don't know, the issue I have really is that, I get information from the one lady, Diva Marie, who was really contacting people and sending them the official invitation to be a speaker. They would then accept, and then she would give me the name and email address and which session they were going to be in. There were various sessions by topic and so forth. And then I would ship them an email that said, I'd like your photo, like the highest quality photo you have. And I kind of don't care if it's a headshot or not, but I'm going to turn it into a headshot when I get it. I need a bio, and it's got to be under 2,000 characters because that's all Zoom events will allow you to put in. and this, that, and the other. And then I would get things back from people and have to then shove that into Zoom events, and then find out that if you paste something into the Zoom events description that is 2001 characters, nothing happens. You get no indication, you get no warning, you get no nothing. Yeah, a variety of things that I ran into, and I've got a thing that I use quite often called the TGW document. Things gone wrong.
Yeah.
Things that slow me down, things that I know slow other people down. Mike and I had a discussion on Monday about Production Studio, which on occasion, and apparently only in a Windows environment, the Production Studio window, and especially if you have it full screen on a second monitor, will freeze up and stop showing certain elements of the window.
Yeah.
Just done. There's nothing you can do to select another scene. You can't move sources. You can't do anything. And fortunately, I had another computer over here that was also a host, and I went over there and brought up Production Studio. And as soon as I got it to the other machine and came back, this one came back to life. And so I thought it was only me. I'd never heard of anybody else. And then Mike said, oh, that's happened to me several times. So
yeah. And I haven't pinpointed it yet, and the jury's still out, because again, Ray and I did swap a little bit of, what computer we're using, what my computer was. His computer was different than my computer, so there was no similarities there. So that already took out was it a video driver scenario? Because that was my automatic thought right off the bat, is that, maybe my video driver is not happy with Production Studio. It's too taxing on it. GPU, something. No, Ray's got an expensive Quattro on his, and it was doing it to him. And for me, it was doing it on my integrated. So that wasn't the problem. It's jury's still officially out. How I've been able to get around it is usually making sure that I don't have another Chromium-based browser in that monitor at that time. So I'll only have in that monitor Zoom Production Studio and the Zoom main client. So the Workplace app client, those two will be in that monitor. But if I have a Chromium-based like Edge or Chromium or Chrome, I will put that into a different monitor. And it hasn't been, to this point, for me at least, quote unquote, doing that to me. And the other thing
I haven't been that smart to segment my usage of products on a certain monitor, but one of these days when I've got nothing else to do, I'll work on that. Here's another irritant that I just have to say I discovered 8 months ago and spent 6 or 8 weeks chatting back and forth with Zoom support and Zoom engineering. And they said, after 6 or 8 weeks, now we understand. Yeah, we're going to work on it, but we can't tell you when it's going to be fixed, and it's still not fixed. And that is, if you have a recording that was created in a Zoom event, and I don't know whether it might be in just a regular webinar if you're using Production Studio, but if you're using Production Studio, when you click Watch Recording, look very carefully at the screen for the first second of the video. You will get from a quarter to a half second of whatever was spotlit or active speaker prior to the Production Studio coming online. And so if in some cases it was me, in some cases it was somebody else, in some cases, and you'll get, 5 to 20 frames of that before it goes to the Production Studio video. And there's something in the switching of, because when it's doing the production video, not just production studio, but the cloud video, it will switch between gallery view and shared speaker view. You'll notice sometimes you get this separate window of the speaker and a separate window of the shared content, and it has some intelligence in there. It goes, oh no, now we've gone to this mode, and it changes the view on your screen. It doesn't really understand that production studio video is available for about a half a second. And I even tried it by trimming. I trimmed the beginning and some of the end, and I still had the same effect, that for some reason, it's not smart enough to know to switch over to the production studio right at the beginning.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can read in Peter's body language that he's definitely got a question about that. Yes, no, Peter? Or no? Or did that make sense?
You know, it made sense. I listened to all these conversations about production studio. I've never had a reason to use it at all. And if it's either a meeting or a plain old webinar. And then everything I do is with Memo Live sitting in here if I'm doing any sort of production addition to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the people that I had helping me with this particular event were all, well-seasoned, hosts. The event that I had in March with the Maori of New Zealand, they had 10 to 12, can't remember the exact number, volunteer people, non-technical people. They have a laptop. Most of them had 2 screens, and they were not well-seasoned webinar hosts, but using Production Studio, they had really, really great output for their people. And so it gives them a tool without requiring them to acquire or learn, Mimo Live or vMix or any of those tools. Production Studio works really, really well for something that's not overly complex and provides a much more finished output. And literally, their video people just took the Production Studio output and uploaded to YouTube with minor edits, trimming front and end.
Get rid of those 20 frames.
Well, in this particular case, we had a 2-minute leader that basically had some, wait time for people to join the webinar. So we would start that a minute or 2 early. And in some cases we had, hundreds, not really thousands in this particular case, but hundreds of people joining. And so, that way we were sure everybody got settled in before we moved in. So yeah, trim that off.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Everybody on YouTube has been very, very quiet. So it sounds like this is a good time, panelists, for us to wrap up this week's version of Zoom Test Kitchen. So you know what time it is, Zoom Test Kitchen community. That's right, karaoke time. And I promise not to blast everybody's ears off. Here we go.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in display, things lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions. We'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us this week on the Zoom Test Kitchen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to let YouTube and Zoom know how much you love our content. Don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Check your local time zones that match up to the 3 p.m. Eastern time zone. See everyone next week for another edition of the Zoom Test Kitchen. Take care, YouTube. Off to the lounge we go.